So some recent comments from the czar of the Eagles have gone viral. They've gone viral. Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Birds, has publicly stated that the team has a firm policy against scouting or even considering players who have had a history of domestic violence. Now, Roseman emphasized, the GM there in Philadelphia, he said it's a non-negotiable stance for the organization. The Eagles executive said that he won't even watch or evaluate players, regardless of their talent or how much time has passed since said incident. Roseman framed it as a core value of the reigning Super Bowl champion Eagles, noting that he wants to maintain a locker room environment he'd feel comfortable with his own children entering without having to avoid certain players. So, the question here on page 2, how would you classify GM Howie Roseman saying the Eagles are not interested? They won't even scout any players that have a domestic violence claim against them on their history. So here's how I'm going to frame it. Howie Roseman is a mountaineer, not a West Virginia mountaineer. Instead, he's climbed the moral mountain. He's at the very top of the moral mountain. He's standing on the moral high ground. It is a very righteous stance, good PR. He wants the world to know that the Birds have commitment to building a team the right way with high-character individuals, rah, 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 rah. And you do that, you get a lot of pats on the back, a lot of attaboys, get a lot of praise by fans and pundits alike. Everyone says, good job by you. But you have to look at these things on a case-by-case basis. What are you, an ogre? You want domestic violence people on your team? No, I don't. I don't. But you do have to use nuance, and here's why. It gets very complicated. And one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, and there are studies that back this up, that you got to go case by case because roughly 25 to 35% of reported domestic violence claims are false, and those are the ones involving custody battles. People get dirty when children are involved and it's their children. It gets nasty, and people will accuse others of horrendous things because they know that they're going to get the benefit of the doubt from law enforcement, and at least initially there will be an arrest, and then there'll be an investigation to see if the claim has merit. So you can't just blindly say, well, this guy had this on the resume. The resume, you have to look at the claim to find out whether or not it's got some actual foundation to it. But as far as the Eagles having the moral high ground, even that I take with a grain of salt. And the reason, my supporting evidence that I'm skeptical, is defensive tackle Jalen Carter. Now, Jalen Carter was charged with reckless driving and racing in connection with a fatal drag race that killed his college teammate, an offensive lineman at Georgia, and a staff member for the Georgia Bulldogs. And the evidence showed that the vehicles were switching lanes, driving opposite lanes in the boondocks of Georgia. And they were going over 100 miles an hour, trying to outdistance each other. And then Carter left the scene, and the incident occurred hours after the Georgia Bulldogs celebrated their back-to-back national championship. Carter, I believe, also was not all that truthful when they finally tracked him down. So Howie Roseman's okay with that. He doesn't have a problem with his kids hanging out with him. Guy's dead, buried, and 2 people are. As a result of that, he's okay with that. So, but he's on the moral high ground.